beautiful day in Southern California. We're finishing up this property we just pulled in. We're putting the final touches on this investment property. There's a very special fit for a very special client. And come on in, we'll talk about the project so we can follow through in the next few slides. Come on in. This home was purchased in March, the last week of March, for $690,000, and we are set to close, break a neighborhood record for 1.187. This was a great return on our investment, but it came with some problems and some troubles that we were able to overcome. And we have a very happy client, repeat client. This is the third property I've sold to this client. The curb appeal here is awesome. It's a craftsman style home. We bought a craftsman style porch, added a fence, painted it, windows. This particular property was made for rental grade. The client's going to be running a sober living home, so room count is important. So when she came to me, she wanted to find something under 1.2 million in Orange County with a lot of bedrooms. So that was impossible. We couldn't find more than 5. So what I did is I actually made 2 extra rooms within the square footage, and she's able to capitalize on this investment and bring in a lot more money. This is a different renovation than what you're probably used to seeing with me. We do a lot of high-end finishes. Not that we didn't do high-end finishes here, but you know, we didn't really go all out in terms of tile work, backsplashes, chimneys, right? Fixture finishes. We did more rental grade stuff. Even the colors, we did more glossy. We did a gloss instead of a matte, so it could have more resistance, because this is going to be an investment in a rental. Again, if you look around, we want to also keep the cost down for our client. So we did drought tolerant grasses, a palo verde, and we did decomposed granite, or DG, so the client doesn't have to spend money on maintaining a yard or water. But come on in so we can take a look. But yeah, this is the living room space. Again, excuse the mess, but we added like recessed lights. It's got central heating, you know, so we are keeping all the really like the functional stuff that a property would normally have, and not let those go, right? So if you kind of look, have you seen some of my projects or our projects? It looks kind of similar, right, in color and design, but some of the stuff might be a little different. Like, let me show you the kitchens. This is a smaller kitchen because we don't need the large kitchen, but we didn't add like tile backsplash here. But in this particular property, you know, we kept still quartz countertops, lower level, entry level, but it's still countertops. Again, really nice finishes, big sinks, appliances are new. And then a feature that we always add is washer and dryer hookups. So we add them in kitchens just for space. So follow me to the room count. This used to be a 3-2, we made it into a 4. This was an existing kind of utility room, which we converted into a room with a closet. A little funky, but it works for our client. And then, right, 2 beds per room. Really nice, open, clean, easy to maintain. Vinyl floors for easy cleaning. And then the walls have a gloss so we can maintain it and easy, doesn't get dirty. Another room in here, closet kind of thing. A little bit of storage area right there. And we have one of the bathrooms in here. We kept within our budget by glazing something that was already existing. So this is cost effective, but it still looks really good. New toilets, new fixtures. Then we have the main room over here. We did the same thing with this one. Glazing the tubs, adding fans, exhaust fans, toilets, keeping it consistent. So this is the first unit, and we'll talk about the second unit. It's interesting. This is something that I like about real estate. If properties have existed for a while, you could catch on some nuances that regular people or regular investors might not catch, and that could be a major difference in your purchase price and your profit making ability, or even in some sort of loss that you would take. So this particular property, nobody really knew that the back was permitted, right? So the seller wasn't aware that the back was permitted, which is funny because they've owned it for a while, but they didn't really care to look at the reports. And the city and the counties don't always communicate with each other, so the record keeping is poor. You'd be surprised, but it's very poor. So that is an opportunity for an investor to kind of take a look and see if they can find value on a property that would be totally discarded. This particular case, the back unit was not accounted for, but it was already constructed. So we went to the county, the assessor, and we saw that the square footage was accounted for. Then we went to the city and we submitted a public records request, which we then found out that there were 2 units on a lot, right? It was permitted. We had all the permits. We had the year that it was built. So sometimes people will get permits and not finalize them. So the assessor has it, or sometimes the city won't report to the assessor that the permit has been finalized. So in all that commotion and within enough time passes, systems get updated. There's so many records that things could get lost in the process. And as an investor, if you can find those nuggets, there's a shitload of value monetarily and for the property. So you can really capitalize on the upsides of it. So let me show you this back unit. The lender didn't want to consider this as 2 homes on a lot, right? But once you do some research, and it takes a good real estate agent or an investor to find out the zoning permits for 2 units. So this is R2 zoning. There's 2 units on a lot, 2 single family residences on a lot. So you can really make a case or find a lender that will. Remember, not all appraisers are created equally. Not all lenders are created equally. Not everybody's gonna wanna lend, but if you do some due diligence and find a lender that's willing to do it, you can get the deal done. The client just wants to make sure that she gets in there, has a property going for her, and she can start, collecting some money. This property has the future potential of expansion. R2 zoning allows for 2 ADUs. So basically the client, if they chose to in the future, could either build 2 units up or use this carport space and eventually build 2 units. That's in the future, we'll leave it up to them. But what we did is we replaced all the fencing, obviously through here, added HVAC units, and then we worked on the back, replaced the windows, we're in the process of finishing up this fence for them. But yeah, this unit back here came out really, really bitchin'. So we took this space that was a living room space that's really not gonna be needed for the use of the property that the client wants it for. And we built a 3rd bedroom, which is right here. And then we have a kitchen over here, dining room area. Again, very similar to the front unit, smaller kitchen, but we did the washer and dryer hookups, fridge and appliances, and enough countertop space. Again, everything's nice and clean, even though our finishes weren't as nice as we usually do them. They're still really, really nice, right? Nicer than most in this price range. Added fans, right? And let me show you the rooms. Most people would never know that this room didn't exist before, but again, for the purposes of what the client wanted, they need 2 beds. We can fit 2 beds in here. Right, we made a nice little room here. And then we have the other 2 rooms down over here. Kind of basic like the other one. And this one, the bathroom did need to get remodeled because it was pretty fucked up. So we did a nice modern one. We went ahead and just kind of went all out with it. Kind of what I would do in a regular flip. 3rd bedroom, right? And then let's go to the backyard. We have the condenser unit here and then a pretty large backyard. Again, we did a lot of DG, so you're gonna decompose granite. So recreational space in the back. This Delhi area is it's a very good part of Orange County. It is the cheapest, closest area to the ocean that I know of in Orange County. There's nothing this close. We're about, I would say, 6 miles from the water, right? We're actually pretty close. We're closer than a lot of parts in Huntington Beach. You can ride your back to the Back Bay here. Again, this is not a beach community. We're just really close to the ocean. In a hot summer heat day like today, you can still feel the breeze. Warner is being expanded. They're adding 2 bike lanes, right? So it's gonna connect this part of Santa Ana to Tustin Legacy Park. You have $1.5 million homes, just a quarter of a mile over there, just over the bridge. But because of the expansion of Warner, this whole area is intended to be connected. So it's really good for future potential in terms of rents and in terms of home values. I only see this part of town going up. When values are in some parts of the county are going down, I see a big future for this part of the city and this part of the county. Anyway, that was our investment. We do a lot of base hits, right, throughout the year, so we can have a home run like this one. This is like one of those home runs that are once a year we get a project like this, and we're really grateful. Again, it came with some headaches. The way we were able to put it together is by finding the client ourselves, by doing the due diligence ourselves, by doing the remodel ourselves, and finding a specific client that met the needs, and then build this one or remodel it to their liking. The buyer can pay us a super premium that we want, but they're really happy with the product, and it's a seamless process. We started this project at the end of March, and we're in the middle of June. It literally took us 2.5 months from acquisition to rehab to basically unloading the project. So this is a home run. I'm glad you guys tuned in. We'll show you some more next time.